Hi, and welcome to the Modern Persian Food Podcast. We are food bloggers,
Bita Arabian
and Bita Nazim Kelly, and we're here to share with you the rich flavors and fresh ingredients of Persian cooking and how to incorporate them into today's modern lifestyles.
We're excited to introduce you to the flavors, tastes, and techniques we use, and also our own cultural stories and perspectives growing up in the U.S. in a Persian family. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to episode number 58. Today, I'm joined with the lovely Bita June to talk about one of our all-time favorite Persian layered rices, Lubia Polo. Lubia Polo is a layered Persian rice made primarily with green beans, meat of choice, and some comfort spices. We are hoping to give you the tools to feel confident to make Lubia Polo tonight or on a future special occasion. We're going to talk about pairings and side dishes you might choose to have on the table alongside with your Lubia Polo. Hi, Bita June.
Hi, Bita June. I'm super excited to actually talk about Lubia Polo with you today because we have probably referenced Lubia Polo like the most out of any other dish. Remember like our first episodes, like every episode Lubia Polo was coming up.
I think we went on a run where we talked about it in every single episode for something like 5 or 10 in a row.
I know. Well, it's so good. It kind of deserves to get that attention.
It is so good. I think it's got ingredients that are easy for people that are new to Persian cuisine to enjoy. It's also a good place to start if you want to try cooking Persian food for the first time. Could you share with us, Bita June, how you would describe Lubia Polo as well as the more traditional methods for preparing it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lubia Polo, as you were telling us, is a beautiful rice-based dish that has green beans, onions, warm spices layered in between the long grains of white basmati rice. If you're lucky, you're going to have a little tahdig there with it, but it's super delicious. It's super comforting. It seems to appeal to a wide range of people. Kids like it, adults like it, people who don't really know Persian food, they seem to like it as well. So that's kind of a fun dish that is typically a crowd pleaser. It has spices of turmeric, of cinnamon, sometimes of advieh. You can customize that to really however way you want it. And what I love about this dish, and also so many of the Persian dishes, is that you can choose what kind of protein that you want to include in it. Typically, when people think of Lubia Polo, they think of like beef, either like cubed beef or ground beef mixed in with the rice. You can definitely make it with chicken or turkey, again, with the ground or little pieces of it. But what I also love making when I want to just have like more plant-based options is using like ground tofu, like tofu crumbles. I love just substituting that in for the meat and adding like the tomato paste and the spices that really like kind of make this dish unique. And it's great because you can really kind of cater to the different types of proteins and what people's preferences are. So the way that I love making Lubia Polo is actually cooking the two components of the dish separately and then layering them together like when I'm serving it. So what I started off with is the piyaz dagh. The piyaz dagh has this aroma that just fills the house of like cooking, and you know that it's like Persian food is on its way. Basically frying onions in oil until they start just turning like a golden brown color. And then I add my turmeric at that point, and then whatever protein I'm going to be using. And I cook that together. And then I also then add the green beans. And I usually end up covering the pot a little bit as I'm sauteing/frying the green beans. And I cover the lid so it kind of steams a little bit. Then when all of this is all cooked together, then like I said, I layer it in between steamed rice. And as I'm doing that, I also do sprinkle some cinnamon in there just to kind of give it a little bit more of that cozy feeling. And that's it. And I love to serve that. It's one of like my favorite dishes. But I know that you have like a few shortcuts. So tell me about your shortcuts.
I do, yeah. So first of all, I have 2 ways of making it. One way is the more traditional, which is my mom's way, Maman Minu. And the other is the way I can make on a weeknight. And that's the recipe that's on my site, Oven Hug. So the way that Maman Minu makes it is more, I think, maybe similar to how you described. She likes to use red meat, and she'll either use like a stewed beef or a ground beef. And she layers the dish and cooks it in a huge casserole pan.
Oh, okay.
And the nice thing about that is that it's easy to transport. So a lot of times when she wants to help out with a party and bring something, she'll make that and bring it, and we all enjoy it. And my mom's method is more traditional in terms of, I believe she'll make the parboiled rice. I have the steps for parboiled rice on my site. We also have a whole episode about rice here on the podcast, episode number 3, rice polo, and all the different strategies and ways of preparing rice. So if I'm making it in the longer, more traditional way, I'll start with sauteing the onions, adding the spices, and then my meat of choice, whatever I happen to be in the mood for. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a little ground meat. I might use ground turkey to cut down on fat. I might use a vegetarian substitute, like I've tried it with a Beyond Meat or Incredible Burger type of substance. I've never tried it with the soy crumbles that you mentioned. But that sounds interesting because I think mainly it's the spices to me that make it really delicious, those warm cinnamons. In my mom's version, she uses a variety of spices. She uses cinnamon, cumin, saffron, dried rose petals, and a dash of Advieh. Advieh is a spice blend or mix, and it's usually a combination. And you can get it pre-made. Cinnamon, cumin, cardamom, ginger, cloves, rose bud petals. So essentially, having a recipe for a Persian dish can be really challenging because every family and every person makes it in their own unique and slightly different way. So, then we'll put the meat in and cook it down. We use fresh green beans in my mom's version. We cut it up into small little pieces, trim the green beans, and it takes longer to cook and simmer down. We add a tomato sauce, tomato paste, actually. Then you have to cook it down until the green beans are tender. So then once we have that green bean, spice, tomato sauce, meat mixture, we can layer it in with the rice, either in a pot, which I think is the traditional way of layering Persian rice, or in a casserole dish that can then be taken to a potluck or, to a picnic. And finally, my easy way, for example, if I want to make it tonight and I want to empower you all to feel like you can make it tonight in a half an hour or less, what my strategy is to have basically like meal prepping and have all the components already made. So I'll have already cooked rice. I'll have already cooked meat of choice, and I will use canned green beans. So I know that it's not going to taste totally authentic, but this is what I do. And so I do have steps for making rice in a rice cooker, super fast and easy, literally in 20 to 30 minutes. And, whatever meat that you want to pre-cook, have that on hand. And then the steps are super easy. You just saute the onions. You always start with sauteing the onions, add the spices, and then add the canned green beans and meat and simmer it down. So that is how I make it as a sort of topping to the already cooked rice and get the essence of Lubia Polo.
There you go. That's a nice, fun, and easy way to do it. If you are good at meal planning, that's great. We also have an episode about Persian meal planning, and having those components ready to go really can just be a game changer for midweek dining. So that's great. Some other shortcuts, like I sometimes like to just get the pre-washed, pre-trimmed green beans from the market, from the produce section. And so all I have to do is just chop it up and just throw it in the pot. So that's helpful. Those are great options. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, sure. So what are some of the occasions that you like to cook and have Loobia Polo?
Yeah, great question. I mean, as we're kind of getting closer to the holidays and to Thanksgiving specifically, I love having Loobia Polo at my Thanksgiving table. Like I've done that like for years now. And what I love is that it kind of like blends the cultures of like, traditional Thanksgiving fare of like green beans and puts like a Persian flair or Persian element to it. And it's a great option for people who want to have like a gluten-free option at the table. We'll talk more about Thanksgiving next week, actually, for our Persian Thanksgiving episode. So we'll talk a little bit more about the other foods that we like to incorporate on our Thanksgiving table in addition to Loobia Polo. But I also love Loobia Polo on Siz de Bedar. Siz de Bedar is the 13th day of the Persian New Year, where everyone goes out and picnics together to have a great year. And people will just go out, and there's big parks that kind of host big groups of Persian people who come and bring their picnics and music and dancing, grilling sometimes. And I love having Lubia Polo there because, again, it is kind of like that one meal that has like everything in it. So it's super fun to take that to Siza Badaran out on your picnics and share that with your friends. And the other times that I love to have Lubia Polo is if you're going to like a potluck or some sort of like Friendsgiving or something where everyone kind of brings their own food to share. Again, it's like the one pot and it's pretty well liked by everyone. So that's fun. And then I guess like also when you want to take food to someone who's like, you know, bought a new house or like has a new baby or someone that you're trying to just help out a little bit, Lubia Polo is always like a great, easy dish to take to others and to share with others. Those are the occasions that I love doing it. And like your version where you can make it so quickly, it can really be any night of the week that you can make, you know, a special occasion to eat that.
Yeah, so sweet. I like that spin on Thanksgiving. We will talk about what we have on Thanksgiving more next time. And yeah, so for Persian New Year, it's Siza Bada. I have not had it then. We usually stick to having ashashte. So thanks for those great ideas. What are some of the things you like to have along with your Lubia Polo?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much cannot have Lubia Polo without plain yogurt on the side. Like, it's my favorite is to have like the cool, creamy yogurt, full fat yogurt on the side and kind of have it like every little spoon has a little bit of yogurt on it and like the rest of the rice and the green beans. I love having yogurt with it.
It is delicious with yogurt. It's like it has kind of a cooling effect. Not that it's very spicy, but somehow the tomato and cinnamon feels really warm to me in a sense. And the yogurt makes it just the perfect combination. I like to make masta khiyar with it, which is the Persian yogurt and cucumber side dish or dip.
Yeah, it sounds delicious. That's fun because it has a little texture to it from the cucumbers. Torshi is a big one. A lot of people can't eat Lubia Polo without torshi. And torshi are the pickled vegetables that are like a little like side dish that you have alongside your foods. So torshi is really fun to have. Some people don't love torshi. Some people love it. Some people don't love it. It can have a pretty strong flavor to it sometimes, but that's a great pairing. And also I just love fresh herbs and onions like a sabzi khordan on the side of my Lubia Polo because again, it adds this like freshness to the dish and makes it a lot more fun to eat.
Yeah, definitely. I like having onion when I'm having a Persian meat. So if I'm having Lubia Polo that has a lot of meat, I think onion would be a really nice complement as well.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, I'm so glad that we finally got the opportunity to talk about Lubia Polo in depth with our listeners. We hope that everyone has the opportunity to consider making Lubia Polo for a future occasion or making it for midweek dinner. And let us know if you do. Tell us, what did you like? Did you like it? What recipe you used and how it turned out? We'd love to always hear listener feedback.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions on how to make Lubia Polo or anything else. Speaking of questions, do we have an Ask the Beats, Bita June?
Yeah, we do have an Ask the Beats. This one is from Layla in San Diego. And Layla asks, what is the one thing you hope to pass on to your Persian children in regards to Persian cooking?
What a good question. Thank you, Layla June. Boy, it can also be loaded. That's a big question.
Yeah, it is.
I think that when I think about passing things down, I think about how fortunate we are to be close to the grandparents, our parents. I didn't have that growing up. And, you know, food is such a big part of our culture and it brings us together and it brings us to the table. And I guess what I want to pass down is that, you know, try it. Try some of these easy recipes, some of your favorites, keep it going and use it to bring people together. Friends and family, and know that we are a loving, warm, welcoming culture. And, you know, bring people, invite them over, always have them over and, you know, share love through food.
That's beautiful.
Great question. How about you? What is the one thing you hope to pass on to your cutie pies?
Oh, man.
Around cooking in Iranian culture?
Try it. Just try it. You'll like it.
You're in a stage more of like, just try it, picky eaters.
Yeah. No, I mean, aside from that, sometimes I do have to be honest with some of the Persian dishes don't look super appealing. Like a big bowl of khoresh may not look appealing to you if you haven't tasted the beautiful, delicious ingredients in there and the way that it pairs with like the accoutrement basically on the table. So trying it is definitely something that's really important. But I mean, kind of like building off of what you said, that we are so blessed and so lucky and we have just so much. We're so lucky to have so much that it's also like use what you have, I would say, is one thing, is just like, not be wasteful. So see what you have and try to make something with like the ingredients that you have. I'm pretty fluid when it comes to recipes and substitutions. So like try something new. If you're going to make, for example, ash rishte and you don't have the exact beans that the recipe calls for, swap it out. Try a different bean, try something a little bit different, try a different herb in there. And sometimes just experimenting will get you a lot further than not doing it at all. So I would say trying it and like not be wasteful. Use what you have and try to make it work with what you have.
Oh, good tips. Well, this was fun. I always love talking about Lubia Polo. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Bita Jun. Have a great day.
Till next time. Bye.
You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Bita and Beata. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see you next time.